An eventful session, I know, because so much has happened, and I need to calm down and come back into the room and become centered, and hopefully we will all do that together. So let's take a big breath, hold it for a bit, and let it go slowly. One more. Become so present. Hold it for a bit. Now, let it go slowly. Good. We're almost there. Another breath. Go. We are ready to begin, and we are so pleased you're here. And we've told you every single time that we've waited for you your entire lives, but today it will make sense. And again, we would like to ask you, please have Roger hear this message after we're done, because there's so much that's going to come through. And we asked you last time to have him listen. He didn't do that. You see, many of you haven't listened, and if you did, you would see that we've given you all the information about this great change that's happening in your world. But now we'll bring it all together, and you'll understand why Roger knew this information and why he had that information. Now, you each have information. You are in the world now because you wanted to expand, you wanted to evolve. You've been given some gift that you're meant to bring into the world, and it is before you now. It is right there. And today, there's such energy changing all over your planet that you have access to it. And all you have to do is open your consciousness. All you have to do is open your mind to believe what you've been given. You each have something, but you've held it back somewhat, which is the natural part of evolving, because you can't know where you're going. You see, you can't know who you're going to be when you're born. Some of you have memories, though, and some of you have had those memories surface recently, and you're going back to things that you may have put away a long time ago, and you're wondering, why are all the changes happening in the world? They're happening because they wanted to motivate you to become who you're meant to be. They wanted you to live this extraordinary life, and all you had to do was become your authentic self. That is it. There was nothing else. You were given that when you were born. But see, you don't always move in the direction of what you're given because you don't trust your intuition. You don't trust the voice that you're hearing, because you've all heard it. And as we've said, when we speak to you, all we're doing is reawakening that. We're awakening the voice that you've always heard that's within you, that told you why you were here and how valuable you were and what you were meant to do. But you kept talking yourself out of it. Yeah, you did, because that's what Roger did. That's why you're listening to us, because he's attracted you here so that you could change, because your world is going through a restructuring, as we've said, and your energy is needed. Your light, your love of who you are, that is what is needed. There's not a single person born ever that doesn't have all the goods to create an extraordinary life. You just have to change your mind. That's all. You have to change your thinking. Now, there are many schools of thought about your development, your growth, your spiritual growth, whatever it might be. We have one. That is your mind. Everything that we have given you was about you expanding your consciousness, you see, because that's where you live. That's how you experience everything. You experience it individually, and then you put it into the world through the collective by what you do. Now, when you're loving yourself, when you're doing what you came to do, you're adding light and love into the world, and you start to change things. We did this on today because it was such a powerful day, and so many across your planet understand this and are holding similar events or ceremonies or services to usher in this energy. It is a spectacular energy that none of you have experienced because it's not existed on your planet. And the reason it exists now is because your planet, your God, your universe, Gaia, whatever you think of, wanted to change, wanted to become more. It can only do that through you. You create your world. your actions, your thoughts, your beliefs, your ideas create your world. And then when you put it together in a collective sense, then you have the world that exists now. And many of you do not like what you're seeing. And the reason you don't like it is that's why you're here. You're here to change it, but you keep holding back because you don't think you have the stuff to do it. You do. You have everything you need to make your world completely different. Now, of course, it's a really hard concept for you to think that just one person could do that. Well, you're not supposed to be. You're not supposed to be just one person. You are much more than that. You're connected to source. You're connected to all that is. We told you in 2012, on January 1st, you have infinite intelligence. You're connected to all the intelligence, everything that has ever existed in your world, you have access to it. But you just have to open your consciousness. What we mean by that is that you have dimensions in which you exist. We know you understand this 3D, this hard energy that you're, these places that you're seeing, physical places you're seeing, that's where you live, this the 3D world, but your consciousness doesn't stay there. And you know that when you dream at night, you're going to different places, and sometimes they seem very real to you. They are, because they're just other dimensions that you've allowed yourself to see. As we've said, linear time is what fools you, because linear time does not exist. There's no only now. That is all that there is. But you operate in human form with your calendars and linear time. This is why we have given you so many dates, and we've done it consistently, where we had the synchronicity. We wanted you to see the synchronicity of the dates of some of the things that we gave you in 2012 that were going to relate to your life now, because you're moving through a change. You're not everyone is understanding this or seeing it, but you are. Because that's why you're here. You wouldn't have been attracted to us unless you knew something was changing within you and you wanted to understand it and you wanted to have a better grip on it. Well, see, we've spent so many years giving Roger that better grip, but he couldn't accept it, just like you haven't accepted some parts of you. But now he can, because of the message that we have on the board. And the last thing that you see, the last line that you will see about pats on the back, that's what many of you are looking for. Someone to congratulate you on what you're doing and to approve of who you are and all of that. No, you're supposed to do that. You are the one who came to offer something to your world. You are the one who has to approve of who you are and give yourself permission to live your life freely and all honor who you are. And once you do that, not only do you change your life, but you change the world. You change your world because you're bringing in an entirely new energy. Now, we understand that many of you can't understand what has happened in your world over the last several years, but this is not new. It's been going on for quite a while. It's just that you understand it later, you see, and that's what we've given you all throughout. And we wanted you to see that all we have done is giving you information that would cause you to live your best life. You come into the world with your restrictions and limitations, as we've said, you all have, and you have trauma. You have trauma individually and collectively. That trauma is connected to your ancestors, to everything that has come before. You can't, energy does not disband. It doesn't go away. It doesn't disappear. It's connected, and it's connected throughout all civilizations. As long as mankind has existed on the earth, you have access to any of that information. Not all of you are going to study that. Not all of you are going to go back and start to look at that information, because it may not be pertinent to what your life path is now, but it was pertinent to Rogers, even though he resisted it, but it was pertinent to him because he is a teacher and he's known this. We've done this before. We've taken him back to his ancient memory, why he knew all of these things, but he still doubted it. And this is what we wanted to point out to you. When we gave him this message, you see, the first one that you see from 1989. Now, this is how long it's gone on for him, where he was withholding because it was strange to him. But it was also accurate, you see. It was also something that he received, which you all could do because you have the same ability, but you don't necessarily need to do what he's doing because it might not be your path. But your path is to do what you came to do. And what Roger's just a messenger. He's just a receiver. And as we've said, this is why we ask you to please have him hear these sessions, because he does not remember. And we did it again yesterday. We did a session on November 8th. And if any of you were to go back and listen to that one, it would have this one make sense, you see. What we did on Saturday, on Sunday, actually, this past Sunday, we told Roger was trying to prepare for today. And we said, oh, November 23rd. We said, go back and find everything that we gave you on November 23rd throughout the years. We took him back to 2010 and had him put it together because we wanted you all to read this, see, because you would see consistency, you would see continuity. You each have a divine plan. It was given to you when you were born. When you're on it, your life really flows. When you get off a little bit, you have a guidance system that says things are going terrible, please change. Sometimes you don't do that. Roger didn't do that for a long time, but that's okay, because he also accepted that because he lived this and couldn't accept who he was, he can so much better at getting you, allowing you, guiding you to accept who you are. See, because he can see it all the time when you're not grabbing onto something that was within you, this gift, this talent that you have. He can see it very clearly because he's experienced it. Now, you each have something like that in your lives. You've moved through something, you've experienced something, but the problem is most times you start to judge yourself for it. You tell you did things wrong, you were terrible. No, you were on this path, moving through your blockages, things that have been in your consciousness for a long time, for more than this lifetime. Let's just say that there's more things going on in your consciousness that you have no awareness of, and they're coming up now. We've told you this entire period in your world is about a review of what you did not own up to about yourself. See, that review would have you look at yourselves and say, where have I not been loving to myself? Where have I not prospered? Where have I not allowed myself to have all the goods that I want in this world? Because you were entitled to that. It was given to you. Now, this is not judgment, but you had to walk through the fire, so to speak. You had to, because you can't understand your evolvement unless you had to move through something to reach it, to get there. That's just the way that it works. But now we don't want you to judge yourselves at all, because that energy is not needed in your world at this time. There needs to be light and love and laughter and joy, and that's what this period is doing. And if you look this up, this new moon is designed to bring in joy. But yeah, you got to look at the other stuff, but you're not supposed to stay there. You're supposed to own who you are, and that's what this is about. Now, just before we came on, we're going to jump around a little bit because we want you to understand what we did, because we did this for you. We did this for you to understand that you are here in this world for such a great reason, a dynamic purpose, and that purpose is to shift your world. And you all don't think that you're doing that. You are doing it, and you're doing it by the way you treat yourself. When you start loving yourself and become willing to move through your judgments, wow, do you put a different energy into the world? When you stop judging others, you do the same thing, but you probably won't stop doing that until you stop judging yourself. See, this is the conflict that you're going to see. We said you're going to choose, and you see your world moving through this. Now, let's talk about that. You're going to see more division and more things coming up in your world because you have this next year, especially. It's going to be a little challenging, but if you understand why you're here and what you're doing, you're going to have a great time. You're going to build something. This is why we call this a breakthrough. And we said that we wanted Roger's grammar, his grammar program wanted him to change the world to make it 2 words. We said no. Breakthrough. See, we wanted to use that word because if you look it up in the old standard British dictionary, you'll see that definition says that it's about an invention. It's about something new, something that you have created, and you all have done this, by the way. You've created something that was in you that can make your world so much better. All you have to do is own it. And there's no one exempt from this. You all have it. But again, the major problem that you have is the judgment of yourselves, and then also worrying about what other people are going to think of you as you start to expand and become who you're meant to be. Because you're going to change. And you might have those who leave you. You might have others who are not going to believe you. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You're here to live your life, and your life is meant to be glorious. And the only reason it would not be that is because you're stopping yourself, that you're not continuing on the journey. Now, we've given you this great example in Roger, someone who sat down every day since 1988 to sit and receive information from us and put it together. And then he still didn't understand what he had until we showed him last week. He has so much work that he could write so many books. Now, we're going to show you something else because we wanted to tie this together. Just before coming on here, we stopped him and had him go and find a writing. He didn't know why we were doing this, and it made him really anxious, let's say, to do this. But we talked about his feet on the last session, if any of you heard that, but about how he had this miraculous healing. This wasn't miraculous. It was in the works. It's been happening for the longest time. When he was able to accept who he was, then he was able to walk. Yeah, see, many of you will have these physical ailments and things that are coming up, and some of them are genetic, some of them have been from before, but many of them you've created because you're not allowing yourself to be who you are. And so sometimes when you deny something that's coming through you in from this eternal space, you will then manifest physical ailments to get you to pay attention. That's all. And once you let go of them, then something happens differently. And we gave a message, you'll see it in 1994. That's how long this has been. The other night, Roger's walking around. He says, wow, I'm walking better than I have in 25 years. This is a man who's 72 years old. Now, he's done this many, many times, but he wasn't willing to talk about it. He wasn't willing to talk about that. That makes no sense. And we're saying this because he's okay with it, because you have done that. See, you moved through something that was really challenging. You figured out something, but you started judging yourself. No, you should be proud of yourself. You were given something to help the collective, you see. Whatever you've had in your life, whatever experience, challenge, all of that was purposeful. Because when you move through it, you help your parents, you help your ancestors, your grandparents, all of those who have gone before, if they're still in physical form. But those who have passed, who have transitioned, they're still hearing you. They're still getting the information because it's energy. Everything is energy. Your world, your bodies, everything is energy, and you have command of it. You just have to decide that you're going to utilize it. That's all. And it takes concentration. It takes some work. It just takes practice, though, you see, because once you get in the habit, this is why we set up our work in this way, to get you in the habit of understanding that you have to let go of the old stuff and embrace the new every single day, because you're a constant, your work in progress, each of you. And you have to think about this. We keep asking these questions because you don't understand the power that you hold, because you keep giving it to others. And this has happened throughout civilization, and it's happening in your world now, which is why you're moving through a restructuring. And as we've explained before, and many, many times, is that you need a rebalancing, because you have taken, some have taken their ability and their powers and made them so much more powerful than everyone else, and left everyone else by the wayside. That's not how your world was meant to evolve or prosper. It can't do that. It won't stay together. So you needed an adjustment. First of all, you had to make women a little more equal. And so you went in opposite directions in that way in some places. However, it's going to correct. As we told you, when we did the session on November 8th, that was an election in the United States, and we did it purposely on that day. And we said during that session that you're not going to see, everything's not going to be what you thought it would be. And that's what happened in the United States. Their election did not turn out to what everyone thought. And we had said that. We sent Roger to bed that night. Said, don't worry, you'll see it in the morning. You're moving into a new world, you see, and the lightness and the love is what's going to sustain. And anyone who's putting in something other than that is going to have a little bit of trouble. It's going to be changed. It's going to be uncovered. It's going to come out. That's for everyone. There's no one, as we've always said, there's no hierarchy of souls. You're all equal, but you don't always discover that, especially in whatever lifetime you might be living. It may not be that. And we know it's difficult to talking about whatever lifetime, because it's about that linear time thing. So you have existed, your eternal spirits. And again, if you think just energy, your energy did not just pop into the world when you came out of the womb. It didn't happen. Your energy has always existed. You're incarnated at different times. You take on different lives, different challenges, different issues, as you call them, or whatever it might be. But they're all for your growth. They're all for you to become more. And so when we gave Roger, had him find this message today that we gave in 1994, he's like, well, I didn't understand it then, because he agreed to go through this horrible mess with his foot. And we can say that because he knows he's done it. because he could have corrected it sooner if he had decided to move into who he was. See, we do this, we say this because we don't want you to do that. This is why we gave you the work. You don't have to. You never have to suffer or struggle. Yeah, you're going to have challenges. You're going to have things you need to move through, but it's so much easier if you understand the tools that you have to utilize, and the tools are always in your thinking. That's all that it is. There's nothing more than that. But you come in with different DNAs, and we've talked about this often. Now, if we know that you can look at the test and all the DNA that's done now and understand that, like you come from different countries and all of that, but it's beyond that. It is so far beyond that. You're connected to eons and civilizations and either other star systems, let's say. Some of you, not all, but some of you will see that. And we've talked about this before, and it's going to come up a little bit more soon, because you're going to see more unidentified flying objects, let's say, or visitors. Yeah, there's more to the universe. There's so much more to your consciousness that you have not experienced, but that's not important. You don't need to do that. What you do need to understand is why you're here now. And you're here now to live this magnificent life. And all you have to do is decide to walk through your restrictions and limitations, which have always existed, and they're always in your thinking. But it's purposeful, you see. Your evolutionary journey, as we've said, has nothing to do with your chronological age. You must let go of that, because Roger's very clear that, at his age, he's feeling better than he ever did, but he went through all of this stuff earlier in his life so that he could give more to others now. So it's all valuable. Some of you will come in and have this great awareness when you're so much younger and start doing magnificent things. That's your life path. That was your evolutionary journey. And then there will be others who will say none of this makes any sense, and I'm going to just continue to suffer, and I'm not going to try to change or do anything more. And that you will see that. And this is the part that we have to help Roger with too, because he keeps believing he has his imbalance is thinking he can help everyone, and he can't. He can only help those who want to be helped, you see, and that's the same for you. You can only do what is within you to do, and others who are making their own choices, because you're each on an evolutionary journey. And it's no judgment if you decide that you're not going to move at a certain time. This is why we keep talking about Roger. It's only happening now, because we told him he was going to have to change everything today. He didn't know why that was going on, but it's happening. And what is changing is that he's owning what we have given him. You are here to own what you were given. Every single soul has this. And what you've done is your societies and your humanity over eons, over centuries, you have subjugated certain people, and you carry this around, you see. It's within you. It's in that DNA memory, cellular memory that you have. And so when you were a part of a certain race of people that was subjugated, that was put down, you have those genes, you have those traces within you. That's not terrible. It's just something to understand, because when you understand it, your temporary dilemmas will not freak you out. Your temporary stoppages will not. You can look at them in a new way. Oh, I was given this. Now I can step over it. Now I can change this. Now I can heal this. You're all doing that. There's not a single one of you who's more important than another. It just isn't. We had today. Actually, we want to bring this up because you will each have something like this. Roger has a client who decided that he was going to start working on the song that Roger wrote in 1987 called Better Than Me. And see, he knew well before any of this, before he started consciously receiving us, because you have connections to your soul, to your guides always. We just started coming through in a different way because it was part of what he was meant to do. But you all have connection that has always been with you since you were born. It's always there. And so when he wrote the song in 1987, it was called Better Than Me. And this was a part of who he is. He didn't know why he was writing it or why he came up with those words. And we had to fashion them. He got some help changing them around a bit. But the point was this: there is no one born who's better than you. This is the thing that your humanity is just kind of figuring out. You're continually figuring it out. But and it's the cause of all the division that you're seeing, because you want to make yourselves better than others. And that's not it. You're all equal, and you come into oneness all the time. You're progressively moving through oneness, I should say. You are doing that as you are moving through your lives. You're coming to understand who you are. As you do that, you create that connection to source, which gives you all the power you could possibly need to accomplish anything. That is what goes on. And so what happens is you decide how much you're going to accept. It is nothing more than that. But again, you must understand you're operating with your human apparatus. That's your brain. And it's set up in a way that you will have thoughts, and then your neuro science gets to work and starts to cause you to think a particular way, starts to cause you to take different actions, and then those get programmed. But unfortunately, many of you had that programmed in because before you knew what you were doing, because other people gave you the programming. Other people told you how you were supposed to be. And that is not what you came to do. You came to be yourself. You needed guidance, but at some point you're supposed to look at the guidance and decide what is right for me. And you always know that by the way you feel. You're supposed to be happy. You're supposed to have everything you want. You're supposed to be abundant. You're supposed to have things flowing to you. And that's when you're in your presence, in your grace. And this is why we gave you the other day the message, you are the divine plan. You are. You're here in the earth, on the earth now at this time, as part of the divine plan for your universe. We're speaking about the planet Earth right now, but you're here to help it evolve. And you do that by deciding to come to own who you are. But that process means letting go of all the judgment and hatred you've placed on yourself. That's the first place you have to start. And as you do that, you ascend to a next level, next understanding of who you are, a higher awareness of consciousness. And we will say that there's so much going on in this day, and you'll probably feel some of it in the energy, or you'll see some of it in your news later, because there are many events that are happening. And well, the first one that you probably have seen was another mass shooting in the United States. And we said the United States would lead the way, because they have to start looking at what are we doing that's allowing people to be so disenfranchised that they feel that they have to go out and kill other people, that you've had you've lose your sanctity for life. And that only happens because you've lost that for your life. You haven't understand how important you are. All the division that you see in the world is for you to come together. And the coming together is owning who you are, every aspect of you. That's all. Because anything that you've judged about yourself, you've missed the mark. You have, because you were given what you're judging for a reason. It was some gift that you were given. You may have thought it was bad, but it wasn't. It was something that you were meant to move through that would cause you to move through something in your evolutionary path, and you would give that back to your world, and then the world would start to change. That's what's going on. And we're at a critical place now, right now, because the energies we have, you must understand everything is about energy. So what you're doing is affecting your entire globe. It permeates. Energies doesn't stop in one place. It doesn't stop in a particular country. It goes all over. And your universe is expansive. And so as more of you decide to own who you are, love yourselves, put that energy into the world, other people will start doing it, and then it moves. And we're speaking about this specifically because of your war. You see, because again, Roger doesn't understand why you have wars, because he has this memory that goes back to where you didn't need to do that. You would solve things in different ways. You would come together because you were basically creating your world and your planet. So you would come together to try to solve things. How can we figure different things out? But it's gone off the mark, so to speak. And it's gotten so divisive. And this is why you're seeing all the places, this uprising that's going on everywhere. We love what's happening in Iran, though, because see, they are starting to be an example for you all. And then you have even in Ukraine, you have these wonderful examples of people who have decided that the carrying forth the human spirit is far more important than even me being alive and living this life, whatever it is. No, I want my country and my people to have more. You all have this universal connection to what is, to the conditions of your planet, of your world, but you're creating a new one right now. See, that's why this is so exciting. If you just understand, oh, what, I'm creating something new, and you're doing it in your life, you may find yourself letting go of things and changing sometimes abruptly, because it's time for you to move. It's time for you to do more. Our entire point of our work was to get as many people as we could possibly find to love and own themselves and put that into the world. And we're going to create a little tribe with that. See, because you do better with numbers. It's when you come together and you're each talking, it brings up a kind of a synergy that permeates the world. Roger was surprised that he was enjoying the chats that he has with the group, because see, you all stay then in a different level, a different consciousness. And there's going to be a lot of dark energy that's going to come up, and you're supposed to bring in the light. That's why you're here. And the thing, the disconnect from all of this is not understanding that taking care of yourself, giving yourself everything that you deserve, giving yourself all the abundance, giving yourself all the love, is helping your world. You've not made that connection, because if you did, you would get busy and get out of the way and stop holding yourself back. And we're saying that because we've seen it. We know so many of you are doing that. Oh, I'll work on myself a little bit today. Nay, maybe a little bit more tomorrow. No, I'm not going to do that anymore. And we can say this for days because Roger's done this his entire life, so he's no shame about it. And this is the part that you must understand. Any shame or embarrassment that you have, you still haven't understood who you are. You haven't understood why you had those experiences or those events that caused you to experience shame or embarrassment. They were to help you expand, to help you evolve. There was nothing that you did ever that was wrong, ever, but you interpret it that way. And so then your consciousness will take it and start to create neurotransmitters that say, everything I do is wrong and bad. That's what many of you do. You can't do that. You must move beyond that. That's where we are now. And this is why this day is so dynamic. And if you are into astrology at all, you might want to do yourself a favor and just look at the aspects that are happening, all coming together quickly, as a matter of fact, that are energetic and that shift your world. So they're going to shift you. Now, but in the upheaval, there'll be so many on your planet who said, no, I don't want change. And this is terrible. And I'm going to resist it with every ounce of my being. And then you create conflict. And as we told you in 2012, conflict and unity always bring results. They always bring an evolvement. They always bring a coming together. That's what happens. Because you're always going to have conflict. Now we're going to talk about duality, because we gave you something on that as well. And this is something that many of you are not understood. And if you did, you would operate in your lives a little bit better. Duality exists in all things physical, meaning in the physical world. You will look at something, you might see that's really bad. Okay, but then on the other side of that is something really good. That's just the way it is. You choose. And see, because what you choose, you add energy to your choice. So if you're going to look at any experience you've had and you're going to say that was bad, then you're going to color it that way. And you're going to add that to everything else that you do in the future. And that's what you're going to create, is more bad things. But if you look at something, no matter what it is, and say, oh, wow, this was pretty good. Even though I didn't like it, it was uncomfortable. It was good because I know that it's helping me to go somewhere. Completely different mindset. And you've known about mindset, and this is why we gave you our work, because it's only about mindset, you see. It's only about changing your mind so that you can create and live the life that you were meant to have. That is for everyone. Not everyone will make that choice. Some of you will choose to stay stuck. The other thing that you must understand, and this is not judgment again, we have to it's awareness. You will see many people and understand this, who are in miserable situations in their lives. And you'll say, wow, well, if they could just change this, if they would just do that. And that's what you're looking at, and you're giving them that judgment, but it's you that needs to change something, you see. They're just pointing it out to you by them being in front of you. But it's not your job to change them. You are meant to be the example of what is possible. And you can only be that when you decide to move through what you've held back and create what it is that you came to the world to offer. When we say create, many of you think that it's something that you have to go out and do physically. Not necessarily. Sometimes it's just about being who you are. Your presence, your essence is energy, and that could be enough. Doesn't matter, because you make these equivocations about this is a big contribution, this is small. No, all of them are contributions. You just add the value to them in your thinking. Because no one else, God never said this is less than another. You did that. And that's what every soul will do. You make these choices, but you need guidance. What we've done over all these years is that we came into Roger, we came through him because he needed help. And he was willing to ask for it. He was willing to ask for it, even though he then hid it forever. Many of you have done that. You get things and you don't want to tell others about it, and that's okay, especially if it's helping you and it's not solid for you yet. Because most of you need proof for everything. And that's what Roger needed. He needed proof. But now he has the proof. And that's why, and it took this long. So your time that it takes you to actualize who you are in terms of physical human years, that never matters. It's only about that you do it, because that's the life you were meant to live. You're eternal spiritual beings. So you'll move into another dimension of who you are. Eventually, you all do. But if you're working through all of your stuff now, it's a much easier transition. And you'll never repeat certain things. That's the other benefit of this, but you'll come to understand at some other point in your existence. However, under this time in your world is the most dynamic, and it's going to keep going. But you have to, this is why we're giving you the duality, because we want you to understand you're going to see things that are going to look not so good, or you're going to judge them as being terrible, but they were also necessary, because as you judge them as being terrible, then the good in you is going to start to emerge. And sometimes you need a little motivation to bring that up. And seeing horrible things sometimes might do that for you. But we wanted to say, we've done all of this for you. Nothing is happening accidentally. And the reason we had Roger stop before he came in to do this session and pull out that message and type it, which was challenging for him because he could hardly read it. That's when he used to do everything longhand, you see. For years, he wrote everything out every morning. Wouldn't let you see it, though. He's changing everything in his life and doing all of these things, but he's not telling you how he's doing it. Same reason you're not telling people what you're doing, because are they going to believe me? Is this real? Do I really have this? Yes, you do. You would not be given anything in your life that was outside of your reach. Nothing. You just have to decide if it's what you want, if it feels good to you, if you love it, and then go for it. Now, what we've given you also in our work is a pathway to figure out who you are. Now, that may sound strange to you, but you don't know that when you come in. You come because you have so many different energies and influences happening in your life that you pick up certain things, and they're not always the best for your journey. However, we will say this: you placed yourself there. See, if you start interpreting it in a different way, you'll get the value of it. You placed yourself in every situation so that you could evolve. And this is a challenging concept for most of you to accept, but it is always true. And we've given you several different examples, and we're going to have Roger do that more in his stories, because he can tell you now that all of the horrible things that he went through gave him value. He was watching Brooke Shields yesterday. We love bringing this up because we've used her before. And she spent this time in a hospital recuperating. She had this horrible fall, as many of you might have known. She broke a femur. And so but it changed who she was. Because see, when you're by yourself, when you have to like sit and just think and go into your consciousness, you start to gain other information. And this is why Roger went in. That's why we said in that one message that the physical healing may not be, noting that may not be as important as the spiritual growth. He spent more than a month in the hospital at this time, that whole entire period. And he's like, why is this happening? But what happened was he got a lot of information. He got a lot of clarity in who he was. And then having to learn to walk again, there's something so therapeutic in repeating some of your earlier skills that you'd learned and taken for granted. And that's what he had to do, which is the same thing that Brooke did. And now she's off on a whole new venture, see, and helping others. And her career is flourishing. She's almost 100%. This is why we wanted Roger to change, because you each have to start to step up to what you have. He has to do the same thing, knowing that he has this information that could be so helpful and holding it back. But see, that's all of you. That's every single person. You have something that is so amazingly gorgeous, beautiful, that you're meant to bring to the world. And anything that you feel is different, where that's not true, it's because you've made that decision. We've given you several different examples just so you get the extremes of this. And the greatest one that we love talking about that Tony Robbins would use all the time is Neil Vukovic. This guy with no arms and legs, happiest person on the planet, has family, has kids, does everything because he didn't accept some other beliefs. See, he had parents who said, no, we're not going to allow you to think that you're incapable, that you're different than others. No, you have everything. And that's how he grew up. Not all of you have had that kind of upbringing. That's okay. You chose that for a reason. Now your deal is to figure out why and what am I supposed to use with what I was given. That is all that you're ever doing. Your life is beautiful and glorious, and everything you were given is something that would cause you to evolve and help your world at this time. Because as we said, there are going to be a few things that will come up. They'll be energetic, but you need that at times to shift because you hang on, which is why we love using the, we've done this in many, had Roger do this in many classes where he talked about the Will Smith jumping, the skydiving. Yeah, because you see, Will explains it perfectly, that you stand there and ready to go off, but 1, 2, 3, no. They push you at 2 because they know you're not going to let go. And you're still doing that. And that's why we're here. That's why we've given you all of this. And this is why we say to you all the time, we've waited for you your entire lives, because we know that we've given you everything that would cause you to live the most magnificent life if you were willing to take it in and take the time to use it. That's all. We're going to tell you this because this is the crux of everything that we've given. But you may not have understood this, but we years ago we gave Roger his 3 Ps: practice, patience, and persistence. Anything that you're experiencing in your life that is not to your liking, it's because you've been practicing something incorrectly and it's been in your thinking. So then you have to take the time now to start practicing something different, which is in your thinking and creating the things that you truly want. That's it. But then you have to be patient with that, because you're going to uncover, and this happens all the time, you're going to uncover things that you did not see, and you're going to start beating yourself up. Why didn't I do that before? That is so counterproductive, and it doesn't mean anything. Your awareness that you didn't do something is perfect, but you are not supposed to live in regret ever. Acknowledgement is one thing, but regret is a waste of your energy, and everything is created through energy, you see. So that's what you're going to start to begin to understand and move through. Everything that you were given has this energetic quality that can be used to make this magnificent life for yourself if you change your perception. And all the work that we've given you all this time has been about just changing your perception. That's it. And then as you do that, you put that into collective and your world will be far different. We're not going to make this a fairy tale though, because you can see what's happening in your world and it's not there yet. However, if you begin now, if you do something now, it will be. You have that much ability and power, but you will look at something and think, no, I'm not the one to do it. Yes, you are. I'm not the one to make a difference. Yes, you are. But then you think, oh, because it's just this little thing that I'm doing. That little thing that you're doing could be something so magnificent and big that could end up changing your world if you could change your mind. And so we've convinced Roger of that, because we said, we've given you everything that would cause any person to transform their life. Why couldn't that help transfer your world? He has an awareness that he knows that it's not going to happen tomorrow or why he's alive. But you've had many people who've come about with great works who didn't appreciate the benefits of them while they were still living, because most humans do not understand what they brought in until later. You've done this many times, and you study your history and you'll see that. But not this time. See, we've pushed him a bit more, and we did it last night. He was in a group, and they asked what was the host of the group asked everyone to place in the chat the emotion they were feeling at that time, and Roger said pushed, which everyone loved. And then when he got on to speak, he explained it. He said, because I know what I have and I've been holding it back, and something's talking to me, telling me I got to do this now. That's why he feels pushed, and you're feeling that too. It's not possible It's not possible that you are not feeling that. You may try to ignore it, and you've probably done that already, but you have something. There's a next level. You're never done. There's always another level of your development, and you're at that place now. And as you embrace it, your world will be so different. And we're talking about your life. That's what will happen. It will start to shift. And we're so pleased. There's nothing that you can't solve. And we've given you so many different things. We've done it in many different ways. We talked about your relationships. This is why we had you work through your relationships, because you will each come into something and keep repeating certain patterns with your relationships, and they're displeasing to you, and you can't figure out why. The reason you can't figure out why is because you haven't been allowing yourself to discover who you are. Because when you discover who you are, you will never settle for anything that's less than what you deserve. It just doesn't happen. You will not do that. And it's a process, though. There's nothing wrong with where you are. It is just where you are. And then you make a decision, do I want to go higher? And that's exactly what it is, because we're talking about consciousness now, because it always expands and opens. And this is what we wanted you to understand. And on this day, this is the most glorious day for you to start to embody this and then put it into your life and start living. This is the time for living. We know you're going to see all kinds of other things, but you don't have to go there. You have so much to offer. And this is the thing that we're going to bring up again, because there are imbalances that you each have. You all have these imbalances, and Rogers has been about money. And we've kept saying to him, every session, every conversation that we've had, we brought this up because this particular change in your world is dependent on how you each have utilized your resources. And one of those resources is money. And so if you're not allowing it to come to yourself, you can't make a difference in your world. You can't do that. And if you're still holding back and not allowing it to come in, you're just allowing those others to keep it, and they're not going to make the changes in the world that you want to see, because we know who you are. We know what you want to see. You would do something so magnificent with the wealth that you would allow to come to you, and there's no reason that you couldn't do that, except you decide you don't want to. That's all. And we want to say that, and this is not a judgment. It's just something that many of you do. Roger is known for years that he had to step through this portal to get to the next dimension, but it was uncomfortable, which is why he's the best guide for any of you coming into this spiritual understanding of who you are. Because it's just a process. That's all that it is. But sometimes it's uncomfortable because you have to move into the unknown. Now, this is, again, that all depends on how you have treated the unknown in your own life. If you've made it really scary, then you're having a little bit of trouble moving through these times where there's so much of the unknown. But this is why we gave you Roger, because he knows, he's been through this. He's the Scorpio transformational person. That's what happens. You each have a role. And as you play it, your world gets better. And this is the time that collectively you decided that we're going to make a shift today. And we're serious about it was today. Roger didn't know this before he planned this. That's why it was just so revealing. And it got really uncomfortable for him because there was so much energy, as we've done all the time. We love doing that because we want you to understand nothing is happening randomly. It is a result of your thinking, you see. Nothing is in your world. Nothing's happening randomly. All of these events and situations that are happening globally have been because humans have decided to think in a particular way. And you are here to change that. You are, and you are the ones to do it. There is no one who has more ability or power than you. All we're doing is just helping you to find it and own it. That's the only thing that happens in this process, in our work, is getting you to love and own every aspect of who you are, because your life is beautiful. What you were given was something to offer the world that could cause everything to be better if you started to love yourself. That's all. And that is what we had to give to you today. And we want to open it up for questions. If any of you have those, we would love to explore anything that's going on for you at this time.
Okay, I am going to bring everyone into the room. So if you'd like to ask a question, stand by. I'm going to invite you in, and you can unmute and ask your question.
And we must say today we have so much information for you. So whatever you have, we definitely want to bring it to you.
Okay, does anyone have any questions?
Well, we're waiting to see. We want to give you some other advice. Here in the United States, this is where Roger is. There's a holiday, and it's tomorrow. It's a Thanksgiving, and many of you might be celebrating something similar in different places. However, it is a time where you come together with your family, and then you have Christmas coming up. So many of you will have that, and other religions are all celebrating something basically in December. And what's going to happen is that you're going to come together with all of those people who were somewhat familiar to you, your family, and all of that, but you're in a different place. You are evolving. And so it may be very different. And you may find that you have different ideas and beliefs than they had, because you're all evolving in your own way on your path. And you must understand that your job now is to accept all of it. Love yourself and give them the space to do the same thing. Adding more conflict to your world is not helpful at this time. Understanding and love and compassion will get you much further in your life and in healing of your world and this restructuring.
Okay, perfect. And it looks like Zanab has a question. Go ahead, unmute and ask your question.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi. Oh, great. Hi, this was so powerful. Thank you. So my question is just related to this aspect that you mentioned towards the end about, utilizing your resources and allowing things to come in, such as money or growth. And when you basically embody your authentic self. So I just wanted you to shed light on that. Like, how do you realize that you're resisting that aspect of those resources?
The universe wants to survive. God wants to expand. God, Allah, whoever you think about, always wants to expand, you see? And so that is energy. Everything is made up of energy. And so each person was given something to do. Each person was given something that they could bring to the world. And when you start doing that, you allow the flow of energy that was granted to you to come through. And then you start to flourish in so many different ways, financially as well. But sometimes you take steps towards that. And Rogers, he can talk to you about that because he's done it many times. He knows that if he were to let go of something, he would have the finances that would come through. But it was too challenging, you see, to come into owning who he was. Each of you have that to a certain degree. And that's your life path. And so, but it's a constant, it's a continual progression. So please do not judge yourself if you have not allowed the flow to happen yet, because it will. As you keep putting in the work in your thoughts, this is why we talked about practice, patience, and persistence, it will shift. Doesn't matter when it happens. This is why we wanted you to see how long it took Roger before he understood what he had and to allow it to come through. That's why we wanted to show you why we had to stop at the 94 message, because that's when he was starting to lose his balance, his way in the world, and still struggled with that and ended up with physical problems and financial as a result of it. But then when you start letting go of that and accepting who you are and why you're here, things will start to change. But what we want to say is that please just be patient. Because see, when you don't have the flow happening, you will start to beat yourself up and think you're doing something wrong. You're not. You're just allowing awareness to come to you, and it just takes a little while, and it takes the effort, though. That's why we said practice, patience, and persistence. Just stay with it. It will just start to come about.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Questions or comments? Clarity, you have your hand up.
I would like to say that the way that social media can be decentralized still has the same elements of the dynamics of humans, and where their thresholds of attention lie.
Mhm.
And that we seek utopia at too great a cost. We have to overcome that duality, that judgment.
Mhm.
Otherwise, we're fighting the same wars over and over again.
Mhm. Yes, but you each have them, you see. This is the challenge for you. And yes, you can, many of you will stay away from social media because, see, that's the difficulty that has happened in your world is social media, where in one hand, it's great to get the information out there. It's wonderful for that, but it also can get disinformation out there. And you have to understand that. When we began with Roger, he didn't have any of your conveniences, you see. When in 1988, there was no internet. He wasn't doing, or even the messages that we had there. So he had no way of finding, hearing that stuff. So he wasn't as influenced. You live in a time now where you have to stay vigilant, as we've talked about, to your thoughts, to who you are. Now, if you go to social media and you see things you don't like, it's because it's bringing up something unhealed within you that you want to transcend. Because when you reach a higher level of consciousness, of being, you will look at all of those things and you will understand their place in evolution. You will understand that they needed to come up so that you each can look at what's within you and release those lower energies, because that's what they are. And you, as you move through them within yourself, you will help others do the same thing. But you're going to see all that other stuff, which is why we said you're going to see darkness, or what you consider to be darkness. We just like to think of it as it's just something that it's asking you to add your light.
Back to patience, we have to understand that the now is eternal.
Yes.
And the fact that what we want to happen has nothing to do with now.
Yes, exactly. And we've given you so much information because none of you can, well, some of you do it to a degree, but it's challenging because, see, in this moment, there is no pain for any of you. In this moment, there's no pain. Now, if you're having physical pain right now, if you're moving through something, we can show you this, because when you can take your attention off of that and coming into the moment of now, there's no pain. Same thing in your consciousness. No pain. So when you can come to the moment of now and only envision what you want to happen, that's the imagination we talked about. When you can envision that, then you're starting to manifest it. It'll start to come about. And that's why you just stay patient and keep doing your work, keep manifesting, because your mind is powerful. You control all your thoughts, your electromagnetic thoughts that are creating reality. You control them with the way you choose to think, and you use your human brain for that. And as you keep practicing it, you build a momentum, and then it becomes automatic. But the thing that happens is you shift into different levels, different dimensions of understanding. And that's where you finally, which many people won't, reach your utopia or bliss.
Ask and ye shall receive.
Yes. Absolutely.
Try to ask for the right things.
Right. Always. Yes.
Yeah, clarity. I just got exactly the same from you. When you were saying that, I was thinking, just as you said it, we have to ask and verbalize what we want. We should not be silent about our needs.
Thank you. Yes. Oh, thank you so much. That is so important. And see, this is the disconnect that many of you might have, and understand that's old. It's old energies that have told you you weren't deserving, you see, that you shouldn't have the nice things, that you shouldn't have all of the joy. No, that you were supposed to have all of it, but you picked up other things as you've lived this life, and you came in with ancestral things as well that you're still supposed to move through. But yes, asking changes the dynamic, and verbally doing it is so powerful, because when you put words out there into the ethers, it has a higher creative effect. So that is true. Saying your app, doing things, knowing, and again, as you're asking, know that it's something that you truly want, but it's, you have to be careful, not asking from a place of need, but just asking from a place, but I'm ready. Now I know I deserve this now. See? And you will see that we've done that purposely in that program, where we had you start to go back and recognize what you have done, so you can start building up this momentum of energy and accomplishment that causes you to feel your worth, you see. And that's what's so much fun. And then it shifts. You start, we want to move you to a place of joy, because that's what happens after you move through all this horrible thinking you've done about yourself. You start to experience joy, and and that's what the world wants now. This is why you're all here, is to do that. That is because you're going to shift the balance of your world, and we just are bringing you together to do that. That's all.
Thank you, Sally.
Thank you, Clarity. I just had another one as well, that we should not be saving for the future such that we don't take care of the present. Because, I was taught, save, keep saving. So you save and deny yourself now because of some future that may or may not happen. So I just got a very strong message that we should live for the present. Don't be imprudent, but don't save for the future, because you have to live now.
Right. Thank you. There's very, very delicate energies in there that you will want to be aware of. And that is the energy of what you're doing with your money. You see, so if you're saving because you're afraid, you're going to create things that they're going to prove you right. Yeah, you needed to have this because terrible things are going to happen. However, if you're not worried about that and you're using your money effectively, you're putting in places that you know it's going to grow, you're saying, I'm abundant and I know that more is going to come to me. It's a very different experience than yes. So that there, you have to just be careful of your energies behind your intention. Your intention is always the most important factor in anything that you do. Why am I doing this? And asking yourself those questions beforehand will give you much better results that show up in your life.
I think you paraphrased the Sermon on the Mount about, what we, seek not, for tomorrow.
Thank you. We're glad that you brought this up, because see, this is a problem for Roger. He wouldn't know that. He wouldn't know that. We give him information. He accesses information so easily. He can do it so quickly now that only because he's been practicing. You all could do it as well. And you do. You do. You just don't do it in the same form, and you may not write it down. Whatever. You all do. You're accessing something. But he is doing it now in this way that he can move through these things a little bit quicker. But you all have that ability, and that's what's coming up for many of you now. We want to go back. We want to talk about the whole money thing again, please. The reason we keep bringing it up is that there's a dynamic shift in your world, and we've talked about it often: wealth and income inequality, and that's part of the problem in that so many conflicts have arisen. So, but you allowing yourself to honor the money that comes to you and expect it to come, and honor who you are, that's going to help shift this dynamic. But many of you have been holding back. Roger knows he's done it, and we've talked about it so often, where he couldn't put the amount of money. We'll bring this up. We're going to expose him again because this is fun. He had a meeting with someone last week, and they were so excited about what he said and what he told them and how he came about, and he's this wonderful story, all of that stuff. And the person says, well, this is really great. Now we really want to work with you, but you really need to sell this for so much more, because there's no profit in there. We can't do anything unless you sell it for so much more. And he resisted. And he does this for a couple of reasons. We're going to be completely transparent. If he were to release all of this, and we've said this in one message that we had him post a few weeks ago, where we said he was using his money to control his environment. You see, because if he wasn't as abundant, if he didn't allow it to come to him easily, if he wouldn't allow everything to come, then that means he would be seen. He would be out there. He would be doing things, and he would have to talk to people. He would have to. So he was we did the thing, we gave you something on self-sabotage. You see, that's what we were talking about. When you know that you could do something, you still choose to make an opposite choice. And he's done that for quite a while. And this is why we said he's got to change. And he sees the consequences of that, because you measure things in human existence on, it doesn't mean anything. Money is just energy again. However, you've used it throughout your societies to indicate power and control and doing things, and resources as well. You can use resources of your money, give you resources to do things, but it's been off balance. But you are in the world now to honor that and bring in a new energy of money that's going to be for the good of all, for the good of your world, your planet, your country, wherever you are. That's what this particular change is about. And if you want to go and study the astrology of all of this, you will see that over the next year or so, there have been major galactic changes, and they'll be moving through you've moved into a new era, let's say. And so they'll take some time to transition. And as you move through that, you'll see a very different world that you can't even imagine. And we're just going to keep urging you to move in that direction, because as we've said, you cause things to happen quicker. You accelerate things by your action. The universe will go into a great place, but you may struggle for a long time, collectively and individually, until you decide to own who you are and love who you are.
Okay, any final questions or final comments?
We would like to give you one final comment. You came here to be loved. That's what we want to say to you, each of you. And the way that you're going to accomplish that, your goal, is by loving yourselves, allowing yourself to have everything that you should have, that you desire. And that comes when you start changing your mind. And that is the work that we've given you. We are so pleased that you're here. We know that you're going to understand much of this later, because that's what happens. Hindsight is really 2020, but you'll understand so much more now. But we are so pleased because we know that there's been a great shift just in the time that we've spent together today. And we love you all so very, very much. Thank you.